What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Daily AI Show. It's Thursday, December 28th, and we are the Daily AI Show. Today, we are talking about predictions. Thanks, Brian, for the great graphic, the great Karnk. And Andy is here, Carl is here, and I am Beth. We have predictions also from Brian, Aaron, and Junmi. So it's an almost full house virtually. But today we're talking about our predictions for 2024. And 2023 has been an insane year, right? What a decade it's been in 2023 in terms of AI. And I think 2024 looks in general to be that, but more, exponentially more potentially. Andy, do you have a prediction or a framing you want to start us off with?
Well, principally that AI, the overall effect of AI is to advance and accelerate human capabilities by adding the incredible speed and processing power of very large machines. And it's amazing that they've been made generally available to anybody who's willing to experiment with them. So that acceleration just means that the news flow and the delivery of new products and capabilities is going to be even more rapid than we observed in 2023. So that's the big frame. Don't be surprised if there are, the accomplishment of many of these things that we're going to talk about predicting today in 2024 and even earlier in 2024 than we might expect. It's not taking as long for companies to actually field products and services as it was, in the past, because development, especially software development for these things, is rapidly executed because of the support of AI in doing that. The other thing I'll say is that as I will look through all of the various things that we might talk about and what the co-hosts of the Daily AI Show predicted, and we'll share those things with you in a minute, I think many of them are advances in what is currently possible for implementation within companies. But behind the scenes, some very large companies are providing services to enterprise that we don't really have a lot of visibility into because it requires a very large subscription to buy some of these enterprise platforms. But many of the things that are interesting and curious here in our holiday period are really focused on what will it be that is available to you as an individual and or as a consumer and to the home. So just that's the bias a little bit on this call. And okay, so that's my entree to the discussion.
Okay. Well, speaking of enterprise and people who have access to the big enterprise things, Carl is our man on the inside in some ways. But Carl, what are you thinking of for 2024?
2024, I don't know about the enterprise. I feel that aspect is still, as enterprises, a little bit more cautious, and I feel like, so before I get to my predictions, it's sort of like the people who will get the most, like the bleeding edge right at the line would be like individual consumers or people who are building the things, right? You hear a lot about AI can now do this, or they built this, right? It's not scalable, it's not reliable, but it's so cool. They built it.
Right.
And then maybe what would you say, Andy? Like 1 or 2% less than of those things could actually trickle down to become usable for the enterprise. Just how those things,
it's single digits at this point. Yeah.
So whenever we see something on X or we see some new, hey, this AI tool can do this, it's like, you're like, if you look at it from individual uses, yeah, that'd be cool. For small business uses, maybe, but then as you go bigger, it's going to be harder to apply it. I think like I don't know if we want to kick this off for this, but we all saw the New York Times suing OpenAI. So
Right.
my prediction, and I think this is going to be the first of the things that potentially I think will come true, is OpenAI and New York Times will sign a settlement, and that OpenAI will train New York Times and it'll kick off a whole bunch of other content deals with a whole bunch of publishers. They can train on them to pay them a certain amount.
Yep.
That's my initial prediction, because no one's going to see that go taken to court. It's just, there's too much money on the table, and it would be, I would think right now the lawyers on both sides, they're negotiating some sort of deal, and
Right.
it just depends on how much that deal is and how far they'll take that lawsuit all the way.
Yeah.
Because
I think what empowers that probability, and I agree with you, is the $100 billion valuation of OpenAI. So they have plenty of treasure chests to satisfy the major players. I mean, the New York Times, I don't know what its value is, but it's a tiny, tiny fraction of OpenAI. And so OpenAI can afford to be generous with, that very, very principal source of information.
And there was a story recently that Apple was making deals for content, and I wonder if that played into, because the implication from the story was that Apple had opened its war chest, and that places like the New York Times, although I don't remember that being named, but like places that had a ton of content were kind of lining up to say, hey, we're willing to have you buy the license for us. And I wonder if some of that played in, like Apple is creating an environment where they can pay more for stuff.
Well, how much is their war chest? Like 100 billion or something. So, and they haven't really used it. And there's always all the speculations. And if you listen to this podcast, This Old Marketing, Joe Pulizzi he's been predicting that Apple will buy Disney for, I don't know, like 8 years now. Has never happened. But I was like, of all the times that it could happen now. So I just think though, like, it makes sense. And the business models of publishers hasn't changed for so long that I think, they need to change. And they made that deal with the devil a decade ago with Google. And I don't think they want to make that mistake, right? Like, or they want to make the deal a little bit more favorable, because now it's difficult to pull it all back and so on.
Right.
All right. So let's jump into some of the other co-hosts' predictions they provided to us for the purposes of this show. They have family obligations and so cannot join us today. So I'll start off with Brian Mosseri's predictions. He says that in the realm of video generation, where today you can, take a still image or give it a text prompt and get a very, very short clip of video. He says that there's going to be 30-second video from text. You're going to see that among many of the players. There was news this week about Leonardo.ai, one of the sort of leading developers of video generation, adding that same kind of short clip video, like under 4 seconds, to still images that you can generate. So they're all moving down that path and moving towards much longer video generation from text.
Yeah.
He also says that this is an interesting prediction. Custom GPT, by which we mean, the GPTs within OpenAI that, you have to have a plus subscription. You can build your own little GPT with the assistance of the builder. He says that's come and it will go in 2024. It will fall off the wagon, so to speak.
Perhaps like the plugins, right? Which GPT became.
Yeah. Well, it was a brilliant, development, I think, following on plugins to enrich the experience for people who are experimenting with AI. but it has some limitations, and there are. I don't think it'll completely go away. I hope it doesn't, because I've built a few and I use them.
Yeah.
But it will probably be in the background. That capability will be in the background.
And what Brian was saying was the marketplace. So the ones you've built for yourself aren't really considered marketplace, right?
Yeah. So he's making the distinction that custom GPTs may stay, but the marketplace, meaning the idea that you can build one and OpenAI will put it out there for the public to use in a marketplace that features those things. He said that's going to come and go. It's not going to fly, I think is what he means, right?
And agents, the next evolution of agents will take its place, which is one of my predictions, and one that everyone has made also, right? That agents, meaning things that can take actual action for you, perform actions. At the moment they can, but boy, do you have to be a tech magician in order to like go through those hoops. And those hoops sometimes don't work even if you've run your tech magic through them. So they'll become more stable, I think.
What is it? What is the agent platform that you use today?
Respell, but also OpenAI's backend, right? So their assistant API, and Zapier makes it easier, but I have not found an agent platform that is consistent for me in a way that I would like it to be. So I can do it for me, but again, like what Carl was saying, it's not something that I would offer to somebody else right now.
Carl, do you have a promptable agent, that you use?
I think when we talk about agent, I like Dharmesh Shah from HubSpot's definition, where it accomplishes goals, not tasks. So I have a bunch of like automations that complete tasks, but there always will be some sort of manual thing in there. And even if it was fully automated, it's just completing a task versus I want you to complete a goal and then it does a whole bunch of tasks for me. I don't think there's anything. I know there was, things like Cognisys or God Mode. I think AutoGen is one, but I think that like all of us have predicted that this is the year where, I don't know, maybe it's not fully able to just you take a command and do it, because I think that's starting to touch on maybe an AGI, but I think it'll be very close. Like the tool that Adept put out, you can train it to go to websites and click certain things, but I wouldn't classify that as an agent yet. I don't, unless you've seen something that actually does stuff on its own legitimately.
No, but we're also, to a certain extent, what we're talking about is what OpenAI built into Code Interpreter and the Browse feature. Now, it's not a full agent, but it does have a goal, and it writes its own code to go and accomplish that, and then come back. So what we're talking about is just that, but better, more functions, more actions, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. All right. So finalizing Brian's predictions, he says that Apple and Amazon will make significant gains on OpenAI. And they'll build these things directly into their products. So you won't have to, be an adherent to the OpenAI experience. You'll be able to use your phone or, go to Amazon to buy something, and AI will be there to help you. And he says also, in respect of the large players out there, Google will continue to falter as they chase versus innovate. That's interesting. I still hold expectations that Google's going to surprise. So maybe not in 2024. I don't know.
Do we predict that 2024 is the year of Canada for Google, or the year of Google for Canada?
No, it wasn't the end of last year. It won't be there this year. But it isn't just Google. Claude, or like a whole whackload of tools that I have to open my VPN to actually access. But it's just part of being a Canadian, so it's what it is.
All right. I agree with Apple, and so did Junmi. that Apple will put out an AI product, Siri AI or something similar. I'm not sure I agree about Amazon with Brian. Like, I think Amazon will do things, but I don't know, like, are they building directly into their storefront product? Are they building directly into AWS, which is kind of what they've been doing? But they've been doing a little bit more of being the preferred, of trying to establish themselves as the preferred marketplace versus really doing their own thing. But I would be thrilled if they updated Alexa so that Alexa was smarter.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
Moving right along, Junmi says AI personal assistants that bridge all our devices, the computer, the phone, etc. So a personal assistant that we've been talking about, but I haven't yet to have, will emerge from probably several players in 2024.
Right.
He also agrees with Apple launching an AI product, probably built into Siri.
Right.
So Siri will suddenly become much more conversational than it is today. Siri has never understood me. I don't know why. I'm very poor with Siri. All right. Carl, do you have another prediction?
Yeah, you were going to say something. What do you?
Oh, just to touch on Amazon. I remember talking to some of their folks, and their idea was, remember they really recently relaunched their LLM. I don't know what it was called, but it somebody has just a whole bunch of hallucinations on it. But I think from what their team told me was that they don't want to be in that space, like trying to go up against Anthropic or Claude. They'd rather be, I think, the player where, like you said, just like a cloud service for LLMs, where you can go there and pick a whole bunch of LLMs to use and to build. So I remember we were trying to, so here's the funny thing. We were trying to build this bot off Confluence. And I just remember thinking, I'm like, I wonder what Atlassian's going to do, and B, what's eventually going to happen. Like it was, you can see the logical conclusion. And sure enough, things like Respell has those Confluence connections. I think Atlassian has launched their own chat version. So, and who else? I've seen this from ChatGPT Enterprise too. They have a roadmap for, I think I saw the doc. I think it's a Confluence connector to it, which that just eliminates your need for a bot, unless you want to connect it to something else like a Slack or a Teams. But any of these things that you're building, I feel like that's going to be built. But from an Amazon perspective, it was a lot. It wasn't hard. It was a little bit more difficult to build on their system because they've reconfigured their system that wasn't originally AI to be an AI system. So their Kendra model was actually reconfigured, or wasn't designed to be an embedding or a vector store, but now it is. But when you test around with it, any other AI chatbot or even a GPT will outdo its answers. It doesn't pull data as well. So it's like, it's not a very good experience. So I feel like all those companies are still trying to figure their way around. But I still feel OpenAI is, I don't know about you, but when I compared custom AI chatbot to a custom GPT, how they do their embeddings is way better than any other custom bot or thing I've built. It's
OpenAI.
OpenAI's, yeah.
The knowledge in the knowledge function inside the custom GPTs is really excellent.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah.
Okay, moving right along. So Aaron Mauer in Perth, Australia, has offered up these following things. He says, there will be lifelike AI voice cloning. I thought we already had that. He says, we're close, but not there yet. And he thinks that within a year, it'll be like 100%.
Just in time for the US election 2024. So if you hear a presidential candidate saying something, just like have in your imagination that that's really possible to do now in a fake way. So check other sources.
Yeah. And you know, Aaron is our expert on video avatars, and he's one of the very first people who ever mentioned HeyGen to me, and he thinks that flexible AI video cloning will start to proliferate, you know, beyond HeyGen, and you'll be able to move the avatar. Right now, the avatar that's created, that voices and you know, with voice cloning, and also moves its lips in beautiful sync to whatever the text is that you've provided to that avatar. He says you'll also be able to move the avatar. It'll start to be able to, you know, instead of being static in front of you and focused on the face, you'll be able to have it act in this space in the studio that you use.
And I'm gonna pop in here because what Aaron is talking about is human avatar, right? What I have really been wanting, and some of you who've seen my art will understand this, I want the 3D non-human but anthropomorphic, so like cartoon-like character. I'm looking for that, and that hasn't been really easy to find in 2023. And I think in 2024, not only will the abilities be more in that context, but they will grow faster because we will be less concerned with a puppet mouth that does not specifically mouth the syllables correctly, right, that they're saying, and the things that we notice with human, right, like, wow, you look really stiff. Like if you're looking at, you know, a duck, that's not, you're not going to feel like, wow, that talking duck doesn't move like I expect a talking duck to move, right? So I think as the capabilities grow, we will see more of a grow in animation. Also, it's the same as the game assets, right? All of that is kind of similar technology. And I think that those will grow in concert. I'm really looking forward to that.
Very good. Yeah, important to make the distinction between the work that's being done to fully represent an image of yourself and or some other real human character from camera imagery, that can then carry on from text that you supply it or from a voiceover that you've done to an audio recording. That's what HeyGen does so well. And animated characters that can represent avatars in virtual worlds or whatever. Those are two very different things to a large degree. So the other thing that Aaron predicts is that wearables and AR devices are going to be, you know, coming out in numbers, right? We heard about the Ray-Ban from Meta, you know, Ray-Ban camera equipped and AI equipped glasses. I haven't heard much about them lately, but they must be out there in the market. There's going to be lots more of those, and there'll be watches and pendants and other types of glasses. He shared with us a thing in development from a company called Lumus, Lumus, which is using an advanced technology for reflective imagery in a pair of glasses that's much brighter for AR, augmented reality. So you can be wearing these during the daytime and see a very crisp image in the heads-up display that is presented in a you know, glasses eye frame. So that look forward to seeing that this coming year.
Nice. And Greg has responded to Carl. He predicts that Amazon's move will be enterprise, not consumer. Something like the LLM function in AWS that gives you a private and integrated solution around all your data. Nice.
Yeah, let me mention that, you know, Amazon's incorporation of AI for its own purposes goes way beyond generative large language models, like
right.
Good at that, and principally in the area of AI for robotics in their whole distribution mechanism, right? So they have a very, very advanced capability when it comes to robotics. And so I'm going to talk for a minute here about what I think is for 2024, which is you're going to see embodied AI, meaning AI that is represented by robot, instances that are going to be made available to the home and, of course, to businesses. But Amazon is in the lead there, I think, because they use it so extensively for their own purposes, and they've actually published a platform for the development of robotic AI.
Right.
And so they're big in the back end, so to speak. But getting into the front end of the home, I want to share with you that there have been some interesting AI robotics that have embodiment out there. There's Moxie, which is a child companion that it's static. It just sits on the desktop for your child, but it's a companion for learning, and it has a screen-based face, and it's very animated. So it's active, but it's not going to walk around and do anything like your Roomba. But there will be advances that will provide robots that can take physical action in the space in your home, and they may first make an appearance in 2024. I want to draw your attention to an interesting company that I had never heard about until I looked at this earlier this morning, and it's called Everyday Robots. Everyday is a spin out from teams at X. So the same people who have this, disregard for what is claimed to be impossible are out there working on an everyday human assistant kind of robot, and one that's designed to do exactly what you would hope it would do, and be also a companion and all those other things. But it will be able to do physical tasks in your home that go way beyond scooping up dust off the floor. So Everyday Robots, check it out.
I am excited about that. So
yeah, that's very cool.
I agree. I think in 2023, I'm not sure we're gonna really have Rosie or R2D2 or C3PO or any of those things, but I do think that we will have the next level up from Roomba. Right. So not just sucking dust, as you said, but with some sort of claw, or perhaps the ability to lift something.
Right. So another related development is that Sam Altman of OpenAI and Jony Ive, the principal designer in history for Apple, have just poached one of the key designers from Apple to their startup, which is working on personal AI in the home, devices in the home. So what does that mean? It goes beyond the iPhone, because it's beyond that interface that you have. So they're working on devices. Imagine AI Pin, which is what the Humane AI company has put forward. Also, with big chops from product design in the major players. I think they also came from Apple. And so now imagine that they're working on something, and I believe it's going to be much more sophisticated and action oriented than just the sort of visual and auditory interface of a phone-like device. I think it's going to have some agency inside the home when you see the full roadmap of that new development that's underway, but we don't really know what their product vision is.
Right. And Carl appears to be having some video problems.
I don't know what's happening. I just see that I keep losing my connection to my camera, so I have no clue what is going on.
So one of the things that we've implied, but I want to highlight, that I think is going to be early 2024, is character consistency, both in image generation, and then that has implications for long-term video, longer form video creation. And by that, I mean that I could conceivably put together a book of 1 or 2 characters that are in different positions. That is available now. It's just not mainstream. It's a little harder to manage. And I'm super excited about that as a possibility. And because it's so close, I think we'll see that in the first 2 quarters of 2024.
So give me a use case example of consistent characters and how's that distinct from inconsistent characters if they exist today?
So
Well,
go ahead,
go ahead.
Carl.
Oh,
No, yeah.
Well, I was thinking, so for the longest time, people were like, okay, let's take it from a business perspective. Like, let's say you have like a I don't know, a certain look or a brand, and then you want to create a character based on that brand. It's very hard to keep that same character. You can prompt your way through it with seed numbers and so on, but it's not that, it's kind of difficult to keep going.
Right.
I think what Beth is saying, there's going to be a function that makes it really easy. I think Midjourney's Retune was like the first step to it, but I believe it's going to be something easier than that, where it's like like something that's going to just ensure that your design or your feel is the same over and over and over again. No matter how you prompt it, no matter how you say it, it's going to keep that consistency. Because I would imagine there's so many people that want that particular function or feature.
Right. So, Andy, an example, if you remember the Can You Hear Me Now Verizon guy who then became another cell phone spokesperson when Verizon didn't pay him anymore. In this, you could literally just have that as a set character and recreate in different scenarios. What you could do now is just remove the backdrop of that and have the same video and put it in places, but soon you'll be able to do that. And to Carl's point, Midjourney's upgrade is so good that you can do that for known characters that would get you copyright violations, right? So like I can create a Shrek that looks just like Shrek. In concert with this, we think, it has actually happened. I suspect it's very related. Midjourney has changed their terms of use so that the responsibility for the copyright violation is on the user. If you intentionally violate copyright with the things that you are creating, they are saying they're not responsible, you are. So
cool.
I'm not sure that it's there enough that like if it's not a known character, that I can do it, but that will happen. That's what I mean. All right, so we are just about out of time. What's your final takeaway? What's let's have 4 words or something. Andy?
You know what I was doing is I was writing down all our predictions, and it'd be nice to revisit them. I don't know, 6 months down to see which of them have actually. And then at the end of the next year, we should have a show.
Right. How'd we do?
Which ones were right? Which ones didn't pan out? What happened here? And so on.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Yeah. Okay. Andy, what's your takeaway?
Just get on the treadmill and start running because it's moving fast. You're gonna have to be speedy to keep up. Yeah. And but you could just listen for 30 minutes every day here. You'll at least be beside the treadmill. Right. You'll know what's going on the treadmill.
Yeah, I will predict that the overwhelm will increase, the overwhelm that people feel. Yeah. And so find your AI people. I would love to be part of your AI people, so reach out to me. But find a place where you want to focus and let that sort of create a little bit of blinders for you, so you're aware of what's happening, but you don't feel like you have to do everything. Carl?
I think just expect the unexpected. 2024, no one would have predicted half, 75%, 80% of the stuff that came out after, right when it. So this is, I guess, the first year that people are making these really grandiose AI predictions. So,
Yeah.
but that the space is moving so fast that I don't think we can really see what's going to be coming. Like no one could see the Tesla robots and all that kind of stuff and how fast they're moving. So just expect the unexpected, I guess.
Right, right. Really good point. Okay, thanks everybody. Please join us tomorrow. We're going to be talking about upscalers, and I have been having a blast upscaling. So it will be a visual show. So we'll try to describe as much as possible. But if you're somewhere where you could see us on a screen, like YouTube or LinkedIn, those would be really great. And thank you. Have a good Thursday.